Welcome, everybody, to the Centimeter Perfect podcast, just the tips edition right here on YouTube. That is Jesse. I'll point to him wherever he's going to be. He's down there. That's Jesse. I am Liam. You can catch us on CMPerfect_AFL on Insta, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and of course right here on YouTube, where we do our tips. We put our main podcast on as well, but today we are focused on round 7 of the AFL Premiership season 2025. Jesse, how are you feeling? Pretty good, I'm sure.
It's hard getting tips right in an apocalyptic week.
Oh my God. We said last week that the way our tips had gone with our confidence points, which Jesse will explain in just a moment, that it was either going to be one of us having a massive turnaround or one of us getting right ahead being me, massive turnaround being Jesse. Jesse, before we get to the scores, tell the lovely people what confidence points are, please.
So confidence points are a way of us adding a bit of extra weight to our tips throughout the week. So the team that we are least confident in winning, but we still think is going to get the job done, we will assign 1 confidence point. The team we are most confident in winning will be assigned the maximum amount of points available based on the games in that week, this case being 9. Everyone gets filled in the middle. The winner at the end of the season is declared the footy tipping champion. The best part about this competition, you don't necessarily need to win on the nose in terms of the most amount of tips correct, because it's all about how you play your points and how you weight your tips against your opponent.
Yeah.
And Liam.
Yeah. What?
Some good weight management by me, if I do say so myself.
Well, you tipped the right teams. That's pretty good weight management. Yeah. I only tipped 2 correct last round, which led to this monstrosity. I got 9 points, Jesse. After 2 weeks of 30 plus points, I got 9, taking me to 158. You got 21, taking you to 163. Oh boy, from 7 down to 5 up in a fell swoop. How do you feel? You proud of yourself?
No, because I should never have been behind against you in the first place.
That's fair. All right, well, we've got 9 games to get through, Jesse. So let's start with game number 1, Thursday night.
Thursday night block. I can't even get through it. Thursday night game from the MCG. Melbourne hosting Richmond. This is a Thursday night public holiday game. I'm not calling it what they want me to call it because I don't agree with it. But regardless, Liam, it's Anzac Day Eve, which I personally don't like.
Why? Okay. Not why don't you like it, but why do they call it that?
Because they want to make everything a blockbuster.
Fair enough.
And then they put these 2 teams in a primetime slot.
Maybe not. That's fair. Jesse, I lost confidence points last week, which means I get to dictate who chooses first, of course, as we know. I usually go first, but I would like to pass the buck up or down to you, as it were. Can you please begin your tips now?
Before we do this tip,
can
we just agree we do 8 games this week and not do this one?
No, I reckon this is going to be a cracker.
Okay.
I reckon this is going to be an absolute sleeper. I reckon both these teams coming
off... it'll be a sleeper, all right?
Shut up. No, both these teams coming off big wins. I think they're going to want to keep that going. You know, their form ladder, as you can see there, lots of crosses, 1 tick. They're both going to want to keep that up. They're both going to want to be desperate to keep it going. So no, Jesse, we can't take this game away.
Fine. Richmond with 1. You can tell by the fact I've put 1 confidence point on this one. I think it could go either way. This is a coin toss for me. I do like Tigers brand of football more, and if you look across the season, the Tigers have been better in more games for longer than Melbourne have. And Melbourne, apart from a very big win last week where they scored over 100 points, have struggled to clear 60. The Tigers can get 80 plus. I think that might make a difference.
Yep, solid logic, Jesse, which is why I've chosen Melbourne with 2. I think, I don't know. I think, like you said, this is a bit of a coin toss. We don't know which team is going to rock up for either of these sides. So I'm going to run purely on the game that I saw the most of last week, which was Demons versus Freo. Demons look pretty good. If they can keep that up, they'll be fine. And they play the MCG so well, obviously. Who knows, Jesse? We'll see on Thursday night. Let's move on to our next game.
One of the most important fixtures across the AFL calendar. It's Collingwood versus Essendon on Anzac Day at the MCG, a game that I think means so much to so many people, and usually a thrilling contest irrespective of ladder position. Liam, you're up here first. Mm-hmm. Who are you siding with?
I've gone Collingwood with 7, so still quite high, and the only reason I haven't gone higher is because of what you've just said. Anzac Day has delivered some crackers in the past, even the top and tail of the ladder. You never know what's going to happen. Just bring something else out in both these teams. So, but given that said, given where both these teams are this season at the moment, the Magpies should easily and handily win this. I've just done that now. I've just gone and jinxed them. Jesse.
Look, I agree with your logic, and I'm a bit more conservative with it, so I'm going Collingwood with the 5. I do think Collingwood, and this is such an un-Jesse thing to say, they've had a tough travel schedule in the last couple of weeks. Poor old Collingwood.
Shut up.
They've had to go all the way to Adelaide and all the way to Brisbane. I don't know how they're going to handle that. No, in all seriousness, they have travelled a bit. The Bombers, I think, will have a real point to prove in this game, and I'm very wary of them, but Collingwood have been playing excellent footy. I would expect them to win under normal conditions, but Anzac Day does change things up a bit. So Collingwood with 5, but I'm just hoping it's a good game of footy.
Yep. It should deliver. Let's move on to the next game, also on Anzac Day.
Also on Anzac Day, it is Fremantle hosting Adelaide in the Len Hall tribute game over at Optus Stadium. I'm up first here. I really struggled with how many confidence points to assign Adelaide here. Was a case of give them 9 because Fremantle, or give them 3 because I don't know if Adelaide are a great travelling side. I went with the latter.
Yep.
Crows with 3 for me. I do think they should win this game, but Adelaide do tend to struggle when they come to Perth. Generally, Fremantle and West Coast can play competitive games. Obviously, West Coast haven't been too strong in recent years, but Fremantle generally have a pretty good record in Perth, both Subiaco and Optus against Adelaide, which does weigh into things. And it's pretty clear Fremantle need to respond. Yeah. I am really concerned at how Doc is going to deal with Adelaide's tall forward line. It might mean Draper plays on someone actually close to his height this week. Wouldn't that be crazy? But I think Adelaide should be able to get this job done. Frankly, I've probably been a bit generous with just the 3 points from a Fremantle point of view. I really think this could have been higher based on the way these two teams played last week.
Yeah, but you're right, though. Like, do you put Crows with 9 because of Freo, or do you put Adelaide with 3 because of Freo? Who knows what kind of Freo we're going to get? But I, too, put 3 points on this one, Jesse, for Fremantle to lose this game. I've also got Adelaide with 3. First time I'm tipping against the Dockers this season, which is probably why I'm losing now. But that's okay. That's okay. No, Adelaide have been really good this year, and the Dockers have been, sometimes they may be good, sometimes they may be shit. So I think this one here is going to be a big test for Freo. I don't think it's going to go their way. Nothing much more to say about that. Let's move on. I would like it to, but let's move on.
So would I.
Of course.
And I'm glad there's no impact to our confidence points, really, because
no,
it's not going to swing things. We've tipped this exact same result.
No swingers here. Next one, Jesse.
Adelaide hosting Brisbane on Saturday morning at Marvel Stadium. That's not Adelaide, that's St Kilda. St Kilda hosting Brisbane on Saturday morning at Marvel Stadium. Well, the Crows are so good they can handle the 12-hour back.
That's true.
Good for them. And, if you're Wanganeen Miller, you might end up having a foot in both camps soon. So maybe he will have to do the 12-hour spin around next year. They can share him. Obviously, it's St Kilda. My apologies. They're hosting Brisbane at Marvel Stadium. Both teams coming off tough losses. Both teams need a response. Liam, who are you backing to deliver said response?
Brisbane with 4 for me. They're just a better side. I mean, we've waxed lyrical about their midfield and how good their midfield is, and they had a bit of a gas leak last week, I think. And I'm pretty sure they're going to turn it around against the Saints, who had a good, a solid 3 weeks a little while ago, and the last couple of weeks have tapered off just a smidge. Brisbane, for me, are going to be just a bit too good for them. Jesse?
Brisbane with 4. Likewise, I agree.
Well,
I do think this is not the game I'd want if I just came off a heavy loss to Collingwood. I think Ross will look at that film, watch it pretty closely, figure out what he needs to do to make it a similar environment for Brisbane to come down into, which I think gives St Kilda a chance in this game. But the Saints really were not up to it against the Dogs. They need a response. Brisbane, I do think, have that extra bit of class, and they do seem to travel really well. So happy to back them in. I think 4 points, though, based on what we saw last week, is about right.
Fair shout. Let's move on to the next game.
Port Adelaide hosting North Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval, deeper into Saturday, this time more the afternoon time slot. Liam, I'm up first here, Port Adelaide with 7 for me. I almost want to be wrong because I need to see a lift from North at some point. But based on this, is going to be 5 on the bounce losing for North. Port are going to get 3 wins on the bounce. They can start getting that positive record going. I can't see North off the last month of footy turning around and winning this game. Although Port have been rubbish against Essendon this season. So maybe, who knows? Liam, who are you going with?
Port with 8 for me. I think Port are going to get about a 85 to 90 point margin by halftime, and then the Kangaroos will slowly kick back, as has been tradition for the Power the last few weeks. The Power should be too good for the Kangaroos here, you would think. But like you, I would not be upset to see the reverse result, or even the Kangaroos just get a little bit close. Make it interesting, Kangas. Go on. I dare you. Let's move on to the next game, Jesse.
Let's do just that. It is the GWS Giants hosting the Western Bulldogs at Manuka Stadium out there in the nation's capital. 2 sides currently in the top 8, 2 sides who want to be staying in the top 8 as we progress throughout the season. Liam, my chain of thoughts broken here. Am I up first or are you up first?
No, I believe I'm up first, Jesse. I don't think it really matters too much. But we'll go. I think in Manuka, the Giants at the moment are going to be too good for the Bulldogs. I like what the Bulldogs are doing. As you would have heard in our podcast, like I really like how they're playing their footy at the moment. But the Giants are also playing some pretty good footy as well. But the 2 pretty different game styles, I feel. One plays on emotion, one plays just good footy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
GWS with 5 for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Decent whack of points there, Liam.
It is a whack of points, but you know what? That's just how it's worked out, Jesse. And the rules
how
are...
the cookies crumbled.
That's how the cookies crumble, and we can't change it once the episode starts. So that's where we are.
That we are. I'm going with the Giants as well, but 2 points for me. I think the Dogs could hit back here and continue to build their form. They do tend to play the Giants really well. This is usually a good little matchup between these 2 sides. And I need to see the Giants do it again convincingly before really piling in on them as a high confidence points team against other good sides. But I think they have enough quality here to get the job done, and I think they'd be disappointed if they couldn't defend Manuka with a win.
Fair shout. Let's move on to Sunday.
Heading off to the People First Stadium. Hopefully Sydney enjoyed the hospitalities of the Coolangatta Airport because they are being hosted by the Gold Coast Suns. Both sides coming off losses. A bit of a surprise one for the Gold Coast. Sydney, it was within the realms of possibility that could happen. I'm up first here. Gold Coast for me. Gold Coast with 6.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. This water is almost frozen, and it's colder. It's not as cold as I am on the Swans at the moment because they can't score. And if you can't score goals, you can't win games of football. They're not scoring goals. I don't think they're getting any key-ins on the Monday that we're recording this. So there's my excuse already lined up.
Perfect.
But I don't see it for Sydney at the moment. I think Gold Coast will have a really big point to prove. And I think on balance, they probably should have won that game against the Tigers. Different set of circumstances. Things go a bit differently for them. They get the job done.
Yeah, Suns have been playing better footy than the Swans this year. I've only gone them, the Suns that is, pronouns pal. I've only gone the Suns with 1 because I still think there's that intangible with the Swans that there's kind of one day they might decide to play a good game of footy. And who better to do that against than Freo or the Suns? They're the 2 teams that usually cop it. Let's move on to the next game. Jesse.
Great analysis, Liam. Blues, Carlton hosting Geelong at the MCG. This could have been a really good game at the start of the season, I think, on paper. I think maybe one side hasn't really lived up to the billing so far, but Liam, I'll let you talk through it. Who are you going with here?
Cats with 6 for me. I think I probably should have potentially weighted this one heavier. The Cats are looking so good this season, and the Blues just it's funny with the Blues. I know they're coming off 2 wins, but they've been 2 wins against some pretty easy competition. And the Cats do not fit that bill. They are one of the toughest teams to face in the comp at the moment. And based on that, I don't see the Blues getting anywhere close. Again, would like it if they do. I think the Blues do need a bit of a big game. I don't think they've had one really. I mean, you call a 75-point win or whatever it was against the Kangas a big win. I don't really. A win against the Cats would be huge. Being competitive against the Cats would be huge. But this year, the Cats are too good. For me, Jesse, that's my analysis. Better than the last one.
Better than the last one. Geelong with 8. Geelong with 8 for me. I struggle to see how Carlton lay a glove on the Cats the way that they've been playing in the last few weeks. They've dominated excellent sides like Adelaide and Hawthorn. Geelong's strength seems to be the ability to quell attacking opposition. So Carlton do present a different challenge in that regard. But I struggle to see a scenario where Carlton are kicking 13 goals against this Geelong side, and where Geelong can't force an overload and kick 14 of their own.
Yeah.
I do think they get the job done with relative surety here. I would be personally quite surprised if Carlton do win.
Speaking of relative surety, let's bring it home with the last game of the round.
Marvel Stadium sees Hawthorn host West Coast, a battle of birds with yellow in their colours. That's about as much as I can sell this game with. Liam, who are you tipping here?
Jesse, I'm going to do both of our jobs for us.
Okay.
Because I'm looking down the list of tips that we've both got so far, and I think it's fair to say that we've both gone Hawks with 9.
9-9.
9-9. I will. No, I'm not going to do that. The Hawks are going to win. Is there anything else to say, Jesse?
Are you gonna Richmond, North Melbourne, Adelaide, Greater Western Broken Hill, Gorringe it, or are you just gonna be sensible?
I was gonna be sensible. I try and do that too often. I need a bit more. I'm trying to put some sort of stakes in this game, because I'd be surprised if this wasn't a 100-point blowout. Just
get an I love James H forehead tattoo.
Look, you know me. I love tattoos, but I'm not going to do that. No.
Okay. I
will not do that. No, Hawks with 9, Jesse. Hawks with 9. I think there's nothing else to say, unless you want to.
No, Hawks with 9.
Well, then what you can say is whatever you say to bring us home.
Great work, Liam. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Just the Tips episode of the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast. Make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing. Drop your tips below in the comments as well if you're interested in taking us on throughout the season. Until next time, enjoy your football weekend. Hopefully it's a cracker. Hopefully, unless you're an Adelaide supporter, your team wins. But even then, you probably will, so don't stress that much. We'll see you soon on the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast.
Bye, everybody.